So today is January 12th, 2025, and the North Node and the South Node are changing signs in transit astrology. So the North Node has been in Aries and the South Node has been in Libra for like 18 months. And now they're switching. So when the nodes are unique in astrology, when you look at transits, because usually all planets transit through signs chronologically, like in order. But the nodes, they always travel backwards. So the sign before Aries is Pisces. So it goes from the first sign back to the 12th sign. But anyway, today, the North Node and the South Node are at 29 degrees Pisces and Virgo. So this is just like a prediction for the next 18 months. I find that my predictions are usually pretty accurate. But yeah, I guess I'll just see how things play out. So I think like the North Node is an energy in astrology that amplifies. So like the North Node is depicted as a head of a dragon that is constantly consuming. It's always hungry. It doesn't know its limits. It's just a floating head. Like it's delusional. It's insane. It's insatiable. It's scary. And the South Node is like the tail of the dragon, which is just flailing around uncontrollably, sweeping up. It's like a broom. It's like sweeping up old debris, old karmic debris. It's usually not a pleasant transit because the tail of a dragon just flailing around, sweeping up whatever it comes across aimlessly and carelessly. It's a bit of a careless energy to me. But the North Node, when you look at the North Node in your natal chart, that is what you think your destiny is. It's where you think you're going in this lifetime. It's something that you haven't mastered yet. So you're like googly-eyed about it. You're like obsessed with it. You're like, you need to know more. You can never get enough of it because you haven't like got habituated to it yet. You're not bored of it. You don't know it. So it's like fascinating to you. The South Node in your natal chart is usually astrologers say that's who you were in a past life. That's the past life that you're coming from. That's the stuff you've already mastered. You've already experienced it. So you don't need to like control it or master it or put any energy into it. That's why it's depicted as like an aimless flailing tail of a dragon just sweeping along because you're not focused on it. Like you don't really care about it. The South Node can also represent apathy. Since you've already been there, done that, it's like a drain. It's where we get closure on things that we've already come to an end with. It's not something new. It's not something exciting or fresh or something you just want to be all up on, like the North Node. In my natal chart, I have my South Node in Pisces. So this transit is kind of flipped because the North Node in Pisces is right now, but in my chart, I have the South Node in Pisces. So it's like old things that I've mastered in past lives or that I've already been there and done that with, they're probably going to be presented to me in a new way where it seems like it's fascinating again. I always feel like when you reach a point of the nodal opposition, I think everyone experiences this. A nodal opposition where your natal South Node is the North Node or your natal North Node is the South Node. It feels like a transit of like fool's gold. Of like you think it's going to be one way and then you realize you've already seen this shit a million times. It's just framed to you in a different way. So you think it's going to be different than what it is. But anyway, I feel like as the North Node goes through Pisces in the next 18 months, I think we're going to see themes of, since the North Node expands, we're going to see themes of people not knowing their limits when it comes to intoxication, because Pisces rules over all forms of intoxication. I feel like people are just going to be in like this drunken stupor, and people are going to be wide-eyed and googly-eyed about things like spirituality and universal love, and people are going to be setting themselves up in positions where they could potentially be victimized. But since the North Node is an energy that is delusional and it's not from this earthly reality, so it seems like you get obsessed with it because it's like it's so, you're fascinated by the North Node. I feel like people are going to think things are going to be one way, and Pisces experienced this already. Like, I don't know what the term is. They jump into something with high hopes, or they think it's going to be amazing, and then they realize it was just an illusion and that it ain't shit. And then they end up like victimized, or they end up in prison, or they end up in some serious messed up situation. Like, I feel like the reason why Pisces come across as like the way they do, like kind of like lunatics, because they're so optimistic and trying to be lighthearted and trying to focus on the good and the positive and the romantic. They're hopeless romantics a lot of the times. I feel like it's because Pisces in the 12th house also rules over the complete opposite. Pisces is actually a very tragic sign. Like, it rules over victimization, of being like cast away, like cast out in exile, so that no one finds out what you've experienced, how bad they victimized you. It's a sign of being silenced, of being made invisible. It's a sign of oppression and atrophy, because Saturn rejoices in the 12th house and in Pisces. It rules over prisons, insane asylums, orphanages. It's not pretty. And the only reason, like, if you come across Pisces, the only reason that they always seem like they're like optimistic, or like they think everything's like a fucking rainbow and unicorns and shit, if you actually dig into their history, it's very ugly, it's very tragic. It's probably insanity inducing, and this is why Pisces rules over alcoholism and drug addiction and just intoxication in general. And Venus exalts in Pisces. So it means Venus goes crazy in Pisces. It gets on a sugar high. So that's, I feel like, because Pisces are usually so emotionally victimized, they become addicted to romance. Not usually sex, though. Not from what I've seen. Pisces are usually just addicted to the romantic aspects of it, like the hope of love, because they've usually been victimized so much. But anyway, all these themes of Pisces are going to be amplified with the North Node being in Pisces for 18 months. And things are not going to be what they seem. We're going to be getting into a lot of situations where we think it's going to be one way. We're so desperate to believe. We're so desperate to believe in love or whatever it is in our individual lives, that we're going to be kind of blind. And we're going to be in an illusion. Pisces rules over illusions. That's where Neptune is at home. I feel like, but also, you already know that artists are insane. I feel like it's common knowledge that if you know somebody who's an artist, you know they're insane. You know they're going through a lot. That's the only reason they turn to art. So as much dark shit is going to be amplified for the next 18 months, I feel like there's going to be a lot of artistic inspiration floating around in the air. A lot of creative, the pull towards creativity and expression through music or artwork or poetry or film especially. That's going to be very big, because people are going to feel like, in the collective, people are going to feel like everything else is too tragic. Pisces rules over things that are intangible, that are only exist in spirit, that you can't see, but you can feel. That's why Pisces is a psychic sign. Fuck, what was I about to say? Also, the north node of the moon, in my natal chart, I have my moon conjunct the north node. So this is kind of an energy. The lunar north node of the moon makes somebody very permeable. It makes somebody overly receptive. It makes our psychic senses so open to the point where we can go haywire. That's why, and the north node rules over insanity. Like people with big googly eyes who are just like fucking crazy and out of touch with reality. The lunar north node makes somebody extremely permeable, but without the ungrounded. It's a floating head of a dragon. So the north node in Pisces is not the only planet in Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces right now. As of today, it's at 15 degrees Pisces. I'm pretty sure Saturn will retrograde another time before it finishes being in Pisces, but Saturn stays in a sign for like 2 years. 2 or 3 years. With Saturn in Pisces, it's going to conjunct the North Node in Pisces at some point in the next 18 months. And I feel like this is when we're really going to see things are not what we thought. We're going to be facing, as a collective, consequences for whatever delusion we were under, whatever delusion we invested in, got obsessed with, got carried away with. Saturn is a sign that represents structure. In order to keep Saturn strong, you have to be structured, you have to be disciplined, you have to... It's always going to be hard when working with Saturn energy. Drive your fucking car. God damn. So Saturn always runs the risk of atrophy, of poison. Saturn represents atrophy and poison and hardship and misfortune and consequences and being too weak to do anything about your situation, being stuck. It represents decay, misery. Like, I think of Saturn as being like a skinny, mean old man. And Jupiter is like a big fat Santa kind of grandpa who has so much to give that he's generous. He's like a sugar daddy. But Saturn is like a skinny old grandpa, like that guy in Courage the Cowardly Dog, that old grandpa. Just mean as fuck. I feel like in the next 18 months, if you get sucked into this North Node in Pisces energy and you think like you're following your destiny or like you're being a lunatic, Saturn is going to bring a very harsh reality. I feel like this is when we'll see the dark side of Pisces as a collective. And since these are lunar nodes of the moon and these are collective transits, they impact people on a very subconscious way. Like, everybody is going to be feeling the effects of this transit. It affects you emotionally because it's the moon. It affects your moods. It affects how you feel. It affects like the moon just always works in very subtle but very potent ways. But anyway, onto the South Node transiting Virgo. The South Node of the moon is like a broom. It's like a dragon's tail just sweeping along, kicking up old karmic debris, stuff you don't want to deal with. Like, no one wants to fucking sweep around their house and clean up their house, and like, it's very, you don't have any desire when it comes to the South Node. You have no desire. And so as a result of that, since things are kind of like magnetic and opposites attract, when you have natal planets conjunct your South Node, or the South Node transits over one of your planets, it's going to be a time where you feel apathetic. You don't care. You don't want to deal with this shit. But since things work in opposites, you're going to be attracting a lot of old karmic shit, old stuff, just going through the motions, karmic relationships, karmic patterns coming up, things just being swept up and kicked up. And those things get attracted to you. So with the South Node going over Virgo, I feel like we're going to be experiencing old patterns regarding our health, the ways that we have done things health-wise. Old job patterns. Like, this may be a transit where a lot of people decide they don't want to work at the job that they work at anymore. We don't want to be of service to the kinds of people that we've been of service to anymore. We don't want to take care of people anymore. We don't want to be servants. We don't want to be like nurses and maids to people anymore. We don't want to be servants. That's what Virgo rules over, all forms of servitude. We're going to be getting closure on all things that Virgo represents: health, jobs, pets, the daily mundane stuff. We're not going to be wanting to deal with things that mess up our nerves. Virgo is a very anxious sign. It rules over the intestines, the nerves. Like, things that mess up our nerves, we're not going to want to expand upon. We're just going to want to get closure on it and let it go down the drain. I feel like this is why for the next 18 months, we're not going to want to expand upon things that make us feel like we're servants. We're not going to want to be in relationships where we're treated like a maid or nurse. It's going to feel so tedious and so boring. Like, we've already done this shit, and it's going to feel like it's leading to nowhere. We're just going to want to get closure on it. The South Node is going to be transiting over my moon when it reaches 22 degrees Virgo, which is not going to be a very long time. I already feel it. I don't want to deal with things anymore that make me emotionally all fucked up. Like, if you understand astrology, you know that people with Virgo moons, our nerves are so fucking bad as is. Like, we can go insane. When Virgos go insane, we're the kinds of people who, like, you need to put a straitjacket on, because we're like psychiatric patient kind of insane. We're not like, we're gonna fight you and we're gonna be aggressive and all that shit. Like, Virgos are the type of people who will dump a pot of acid on you if you just get on our nerves. It's always about our nerves. Like, the same annoying little shit every day just fucking adds up and we go insane. Yeah, with the South Node in Virgo, a lot of this old stuff that's getting on our nerves, that's messing up our health. Virgo rules over health, physical health, that's getting in the way of our routine of us being healthy. We're not going to want to deal with it. It's going to get kicked up. We're going to get so fucking annoyed by it. And for a minute, it may mess us up, and we're just going to want to get closure on it. We're just going to want it to circle down the drain. Like, when the North Node is in Virgo, like, this is what it is in my natal chart. I have my North Node in Virgo conjunct my moon and my South Node in Pisces. So, like, for the next 18 months, everything's flipped, with the South Node being in Virgo and the North Node being in Pisces. But when the North Node is in Virgo, it's different. We don't want to just get rid of all things. It's like we're coming from a past life of, we've already been the drunken, lunatic, idiots with tragic lives and like starving artist kind of life, and we've already lived the kind of Pisces like past life. So when we come in this life with the North Node in Virgo, we're fascinated by health. We're fascinated by keeping ourselves pure, of keeping ourselves fresh, of keeping a job, because in our past life we probably didn't keep a job because we had our South Node in Pisces. Keeping a job, being useful, being of service. Like, we're obsessed with this idea of like being useful to people. A lot of people I know who are my age who have the North Node in Virgo are in healthcare fields like I am. Nurses or doctors or people who are into health and animals. Virgo rules over all small animals, especially all pets, even large animals that are kept as pets. We're fascinated by all this stuff. We are driven towards it. But now with the South Node in Virgo, people aren't going to want to deal with Virgo related stuff, it's going to feel like a burden when Virgo related stuff comes up. Also, I had this intuitive thought that with the South Node in Virgo, we have to make sure that we're taking care of our pets and our animals. Yeah, I feel like with the South Node in Virgo, we're just going to want to keep these things, these health, service, just stressful things that Virgos have to deal with every day. Virgo is the daily, the mundane, the realistic. Like, Virgos are in reality to the point where you see some Virgos, when they go off the deep end, become psychopaths because they're so in reality. They have nothing. If you live in reality too long, you'll become a psychopath because reality is so real. It's so harsh. I feel like we're going to, as a collective, just not want to invest a lot of energy into Virgo related matters, and we're going to see like, I don't know how to fully explain the South Node yet. Like, when the South Node was in Libra, a lot of people started seeing that we either met people who were from our past lives that we were in romantic relationships with or legal contracts with, and we did not want to deal with it. We usually swept up the South Node in Libra for the past 18 months, like all of 2024. We either met karmic partners from our past lives and it just did not go well, and we had to get closure on things from past lives, or we really had to face an ugly truths regarding our relationship habits and the kinds of people that we choose and why we choose the kind of partners that we do. And a lot of people, myself included, we had people from our past lives who we were once romantically involved with or married to come back in our lives, and it didn't go well. For me, it was hard. It's hard. We face the cold reality of Libra and of relationships and of legal contracts and marriage when the South Node is in Libra. So, like, now the South Node is out of Libra and it's in Virgo. We're facing the dark, unpleasant reality, the stuff we would rather not deal with regarding health, regarding work, regarding pets, regarding being of service to people like a maid or a nurse, or like, Virgos get taken for granted a lot. I have 2 videos explaining the sign of Virgo. Virgo is not a pleasant sign. Virgo is constant, daily, hard work, constant, daily diligence regarding things that people just don't want to deal with. You can go watch that video. I explain it a lot better there. But yeah, this is my prediction of what I think that the next 18 months will be like. It's interesting too. I remember when I was like meditating on what will the South Node in Libra be like back in like 2022 or 2023, and I saw this giant blue cloud like sweeping over the sky. It was like a grayish blue cloud. And then yesterday I saw that same cloud again, and then I looked at the transit charts, and it turns out today is the day that the South Node is no longer in Libra. It's interesting. I guess when the South Node is in Virgo, people are just not want to go to work. People just aren't going to want to deal with the daily routine of their life anymore. People are going to be very sick of it. It's going to feel very pointless. It's going to feel like we've been there and we've done that and we've seen it all. We don't want to deal with that. We just want to escape. We just want to be in Pisces energy and just want to like go away to a foreign land, because Pisces rules over foreign lands and foreign settlements. We just want to go somewhere and drink and do drugs and like look at art and be into spirituality without religion, like Spirituality is from the 12th house and from Pisces. Spirituality that has been structured into a religious belief system is Sagittarius and the 9th house. Like structured philosophy, structured religion, college, like higher education where you can learn about philosophy and the arts and stuff. That's all Sagittarius in the 9th house. It's a bit different from Pisces because Pisces is just like all of it, all spirituality, everything, all psychic phenomena. Nothing is rejected. Nothing is holy or evil. It's just totally open psychic space, other dimensions, the spirit world, ghosts and all that stuff. Damn, I wonder if when the North Node is in Pisces, if we're going to be running the risk for a lot of possession. Since the North Node is something that makes you very permeable and it inflates everything and it makes you obsessive and not know your limit. Yeah, that's my predictions for the next 18 months when it comes to astrology.